The Escalade is still the undisputed king of luxury SUVs. I'll include a link to the Provo Cadillac's website in the description down below. They're providing us with this Escalade. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Under the hood is a 6.2 liter V8 that goes through a 10 speed. Fuel economy is 14 around town, 18 on the highway, with power outputs being 420 horsepower and then 460 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Now when it comes to style, you can see the hood design of the Escalade is very boxy. Split light design, giant daytime running light, and the headlight cluster being stacked up is pretty cool looking. And then everything's blacked out other than the Cadillac badge is silver. And when you put it all together, this is massive in your face, and that's what the Escalade's known for. Tire and wheel setup is 285 by 40 by 24. You can see the wheels are completely blacked out with this. Another little Cadillac badge, and then we've got power running boards built in too. And this one is the shorter version of the Escalade, so Tahoe sized. When it comes to key fob features, we've got the Cadillac emblem there on the back, lock and unlock on the front, remote start, and then the opening for the hatch, and then the opening for the window too. Now in the rear, we've got an outlet. You have that button to lower down the second row. The third row you can raise and lower via power. Because this is the shorter version, you don't have a crazy amount of space behind the third row, but it's still usable. And of course, power down for the whole hatch. Got the giant vertical tail light set up here in the back, and then you can see the exhaust tip cover is very squared off. Well, I guess I should say rectangulared off. Anyways, that's the rest of the rear. This week's giveaway is all about muscle and luxury with two Cadillac V cars, the first of which is a CT5V Blackwing and the second is an Escalade V. Both these have supercharged V8s producing nearly 700 horsepower each. They also have tons of luxury and modern technology to match. Not only can you win both of these cars, but part of the giveaway is also $73,000 in cash to help pay for the taxes, and your donations go to help children's and veterans charities. Use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. This will give you 4x bonus tickets on any donation, $25 or more. I would say these electronic door handles are kind of funky, and the doors also kind of open up by themselves somewhat. You've got nice stitching on the door panel with some wood trim, silver trim too, and I like the speakers here for the sound system. They have a nice finish. And look at the seat perforated all down the center section, and then you've got your nicely labeled adjustments on the side. Now in the second row, quite a bit of room. Got a little storage pocket. I have my own climate zone in the back, heated seats, and then I've got some storage with the cup holders, and then some USB ports and HDMI. And that's because you do have little TVs here for the rear passengers. There's also vents up above. Now good news, they didn't cheap out on the third row. You've got nice perforated trim down the center and the back, and then of course you've got good leg room there on the back too because it's a full-size SUV. Keyless entry for up front. Let's check it out. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. Down below we've got our memory seat function, and then below that we've got our controls for like the mirrors. You can power fold them in, for example, and then you've got more of that nice trim on the door panel, and it kind of has a closing assist, so you kind of just throw it gently and then it closes for you. Now this is a truck-based SUV, $1,370 for the payload, $7,800 for the towing. Speakers in the headrest, perforated down the center with the seat, and then you've got massage function with lumbar support and power adjustments on the side. To the left of the steering wheel, you've got your drive line select. This has a part-time four-wheel drive system with high, low, and auto. Air suspension adjustment in that area, and then your trailer brake controls. Soft touch trim all around the steering wheel with the Cadillac emblem front and center. Paddle shifters there on the back of the steering wheel. Practical controls in the front face, like your volume controls, voice command, phone controls. You've got Super Cruise with this too, which is kind of like Cadillac self-driving, mostly for the interstate. And then there is a column shifter on the back. One of the biggest screens in the car industry, might be the biggest actually. Anyways, this is the gauge cluster. Part of it pretty simplistic. You can change some of the information that's displayed, but they've gone for a more minimalist look. And then we've got the center screen with the 360 camera, pretty good resolution. And the screen itself is quick to respond. It has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. A lot of functions have been built into the screen, like the parking assist. And it's kind of interesting with the curve that it has to it. But if that wasn't enough screen for you, the passenger also has their own screen, which is like a secondary infotainment system. So you kind of have like the same screen setup with that section and then the gauge cluster. But yeah, it's the entire dash that's a screen. And if that wasn't enough screen time, of course, we have another one that is for basically the climate, also for some vehicle functions. And this is where things are getting ridiculous, if you ask me. Like, to open up the glove box, you have a button. Like, why? It's definitely overkill, if you ask me. But yeah, this is kind of like your utility screen. Got a phone charging pad, some cup holders. This is the analog control for the screen up top. You don't need a touch screen. Auto hold, auto stop start, and then that's for the air conditioning. And the center console got some USB ports. Nice trim on the top of this, and there is some storage underneath as well. Camera, rear view mirror. We've got the controls here for the panoramic sunroof, and then this is going to have a slightly fancier headliner. This loaded up Escalade is $132,544. Let's see how this Escalade performs. Escalade with the air suspension. I just drove a Yukon that didn't have the air suspension before this, and going back to back, it's actually not as big of a difference as I thought there was. But there is a big but. I think that Yukon had 20s and this has 24s. So that much more wheel is going to make a huge difference in ride quality. So that could be why it doesn't feel as different as it ought to feel. Man, you know, the 6.2 is a great engine. I cannot for the life of me understand why Cadillac got rid of the diesel. I think that's probably the dumbest thing that they have ever done, because they're basically just telling people, hey, go buy a GMC instead. Because like the 6.2 and the 5.3 have had issues. The supercharged 6.2 has not been perfect either. It's a super fun engine, so like there's value there because it's a fun engine. But yeah, it's interesting. You know what it makes me think? The Escalade IQ has not done that well with sales because people just aren't ready for electric, right? Some people want it, but most people, 90%, don't. They're not ready for it. But they're not selling, and so they're like, you know what? We're going to get rid of the most desirable engine, the second most desirable, because the supercharged 6.2 is really cool. We're going to get rid of that engine. That way, we will convince people that they have to get the EV. It ain't working, Cadillac. People are just buying GMCs instead. Like, seriously, that's what it's doing. Like, what it's doing is a person goes, oh, I can't get a diesel Escalade? Well, I'll just get a Denali Ultimate Yukon with the diesel. Problem solved. So... and you know, people are still going to buy the Escalades. They're still, you know, they still want the status. They, you know, a lot of people are fine with the V8, even though it can be problematic. Obviously, they go, you know what? I like the car enough. I'll risk it. I will risk it. So, is this person turning or nope? That confused me. I should have just been a little bit more patient. But man, this is nice. And they do acoustic glass, of course, in the Escalade, so you got the thicker glass up front. But they also do that in the Yukon. Like that Elevation I just reviewed had acoustic glass and it's like less than 80 grand, so. Ooh, power. Unlimited. Not as exciting as the V, of course, but it's still more than enough power. So in conclusion, 24s, they make the ride quality worse. They do. This has great power. Sounds good. It's very comfortable. The air suspension makes up for the fact that it has 24s. So this ride's about as good as a Yukon with no air suspension and 20s. I think it was 20s that it had. I might be wrong. The screen's interesting. You know, I can't tell if I'm disconnected from reality or not. Because when I look at this, I think this is overwhelming. And it's like, why? Just why? I hate having to use the climate controls on the screen. It's so annoying. I want a physical button. But maybe this is what people want. Maybe, you know, the average Escalade buyer sees this and goes, that is cool. I like the screen. I've had people tell me like the passenger screen, you know, for the passenger while, you know, on road trips and everything, streaming something, because I think you can do that while driving, if I remember right, for the passenger screen. So, you know, I've had people say that to me, but I don't know. I personally think this is just a phase. This is a phase, right? The teenagers are always like, this is not a phase, Mom. This is a phase, Mom. I think this is just a phase, and that we're going to go back to more analog in the future, because this stuff just hasn't been as reliable as you'd like it to be in a lot of these cars. There's so many glitches and software issues and this and that, and then it's just not user friendly. Like, look at this. Like, yeah, it's cool I can open up the door with a button, I mean, that's fancy. Don't get me wrong. And I can close the door with a button. Right? That's fancy. But then it's like, okay, well, now I have to go and click this tab just to open up my glove box. Let me know your thoughts.